Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Bones Collector, and today I'm going to do a video that I just recently thought that I wanted to make, and that's games that play in 30 minutes or less. I saw some other people doing a top 10 of that, and I thought, that's a good idea, and I didn't like their selection, so I thought I'd give you mine. First of all, I want to say that all the games you're going to see today, there's going to be 30 of them. 30 at 30, I call this video. And I purchased all these games myself, and I'm in love with every one of them, and I wouldn't get rid of any game that I'm showing you today. They're in my library. I play them continually because they're only 30 minutes long, and I wanted to share that love of these games with you. So here we go. I'm going to start right off the bat with Lord of the Rings Duel and King Domino, because Bruno Cathala is the designer on both of them. Now, Lord of the Rings Duel is Bruno Cathala and Antoine Bauza, I believe. Yeah. Or, excuse me, Antoine Bauza and Bruno Cathala. So Antoine Bauza, I think he might have done Seven Wonders Duel, Antoine Bauza. Hey, I love Antoine Bauza. He's a great designer. Of course, Seven Wonders, the original game he designed, so that was pretty cool. But we're in love with both these games, and I think King Domino was just Bruno Cathala. Yes, it is. And this is King Domino Giant. Now in King Domino Giant, you have these huge tiles that you're going to draft and build this grid, and you're going to score on the territory types of territories that you're building. And it's a very simple game. We can play this game in 15 to 20 minutes. It's so much fun. It's multiplayer, 2 to 4 players. And this giant version I enjoy so much because in King Domino, you got the smaller box that it was originally published in. And the art on the tiles is so much fun, but you didn't pay attention to it, and you couldn't see it very well because the tiles were so small. But in these big tiles, you can see the art and appreciate the art that went into this game. And there's some humor in that art. So we really enjoy that fact. Of course, there's the backside with the numbers on it. And then you also have these great big meeples, huge wooden meeples. They're fun, and these are your castles. So everything's bigger, and we enjoy it for that reason. We have had this game ever since we found out that you could get a giant version. We went out and snapped it up, and we play it as much as we possibly can, and we love it every time we play it. That's King Domino XL or giant version or whatever you want to call it. And then the other one here is Antoine Bauza and Bruno Cathala, and this is a 2-player only game. And it just came out 2024, I think, and a very popular game. People are loving it. It's very similar to Seven Wonders Duel, which again, we don't have that game. We liked original Seven Wonders better than Seven Wonders Duel, so we kept that one. But we like this game a lot. Lori likes it more than I do. It can be, you have to put on your armor when you play this game because it has a territory control, area control, where the other player is going to simply take your pieces off the board, depending on the actions that they're taking. So that's going to hurt. So if you don't like that kind of thing, stay away from this game. I don't like that, but I love the game. It plays smoothly, wonderfully, and in 20 to 30 minutes. The card drafting I love. I love the mechanism at the bottom called the Quest for the Ring. The Dark Rider or Black Knight chasing Frodo and Samwise to the Mount Doom to throw the ring in. So I love that mechanism, that slide rule at the bottom. It just, I don't know, it's different and it's fun. Vince Dutray does the art in this game, which is, I love Vince Dutray's art. So everything about this game is fantastic. But again, it's a little bit mean, so you're going to have to put on thick skin when you play it. Just go with it. It happens, I think this is the only game with that kind of player interaction that I'm going to show you today. It's an outstanding game, you guys. If you haven't played it, that's Lord of the Rings Duel for Middle-earth. All right, then I'm going to highlight a designer with 3 games that play in 30 minutes or less. And the designer is Rainer Knizia. The 3 games are Pollen, L.L.A.M.A Space Agency, and L.L.A.M.A Dice, this little tiny box. Wow, these are 3 great games that Laura and I just love to play. We will play this L.L.A.M.A Dice and get this game out, and we'll say, well, let's just play a little filler game, and then we'll play a bigger game. And we'll start playing this, and as soon as we get done, we're like, well, let's play it again. And we get done, and let's play it again. And we just end up playing this the entire gaming time that we were supposed to be playing a game. We just keep playing this silly game. It's a push your luck dice roller. You got 3 custom dice in here, and depending on what you roll on those dice, you're going to draft cards. You're trying to get as few minus points as you can in this game, and it's just a lovely little game for 2 to 6 players. Don't Llama dice. It's fantastic, inexpensive to boot. Just an outstanding value. All right, the next game I'm going to talk about is the L.L.A.M.A Space Agency. This is a push your luck dice game. Big chunky King of Tokyo sized dice. Comes with a neoprene map that you're going to rocket up and try to get as far as you can on that map. And the publishing of this game is outstanding. The game is so much fun to play. You're trying to get to the top of that board to score as many points you can, and we've done it. So I heard some other reviewers, oh, you'll never get to the top of the board. We've done it. We did it in our first game. And
only once, though.
Only once, but we did it. Yeah, I could have done it another time, though, but I didn't want to push my luck. I wanted to win more than I wanted to get to the top of the map again. But yeah, just a wonderful game. Again, the publishing is beautiful, inexpensive game for what you're getting. Oh my gosh, by a wonderful board game designer, Rana Knizia. I love it. L.L.A.M.A Space Agency. I'm going to be very brief with all these games. There's just so many of them. But yeah, anyways. Yeah, this next game is Pollen. It's for 2 to 4 players. We play this in half an hour. Lori and I at 2-player count. And this was Samurai, the card game. Samurai, the card game, I just could never come across it. And I really couldn't come across Samurai, the board game. You know, I wanted to play those games because, again, they were so well thought of in the hobby. So I wanted to play them. And the art is by Beth Sobel on this game, by the way. Rana Knizia is a designer. And I couldn't find them. My daughter-in-law, Billy, bought me this game. And I don't know how she figured out that was a good game, because, you know, I tell all my relatives, don't buy me a board game for the love of God, you know. Don't buy me a board game. I go through a lot to decide what board games I'm going to buy, so don't buy me anything. But she bought me this game for Christmas, bought this for Lori and I, and we cringed when we opened it up as a board game, and we were like, oh my gosh. And we looked into it, and lo and behold, you know, first I saw the name Rana Knizia on it, and I said, well, that's got to be decent. And then I found out it was a reskinning of Samurai, and that really clicked for us. We play this game. It's so much fun. And of course, the reskinning, you're pollinating flowers with these chrome finished insects that you're going to put on the flowers when you get the majority, the area majority. It's got a little bit of a mean streak to it also, if that bothers you. You know, again, you're just going to place your flowers with the most of those icons on it to try and gain control of that area. So if that is mean to you, then you probably wouldn't like this game, but that doesn't feel mean to us. It's just area majority is all it is. And it's in so many board games, it's ridiculous. So, but yeah, Pollen, just a fantastic game. Lori and I love it. We play it as much as we can possibly play it with all the board games that we have, but we enjoy this game very much. And that's 3 games from Rana Knizia. Okay, I would be remiss if I didn't talk about Hanama Koji. This game can be on every list of every kind. It can be in someone's top 10 of anything, because this is in this hobby, as must-have as you can get. This game is fantastic. It's a 2-player only game, and it's again area majority game where you have some oversized tarot-sized geisha cards in front of you, and you're going to have a token that's in the middle of each one of those geisha cards, and the goal is to get that token to your side. Okay, and I think if you I can't remember. I think if you have 4 of those to your side out of the 7, you're going to win that round, and that's the goal of this game. But there's 2 different decks of cards in here. There's the geisha deck, which are tarot-sized, beautiful art on them, by the way, and then you have a playing deck of cards that are regular-sized playing cards, and those are the cards you're going to have in your hand and use during the game. And once you deal the cards to each player, one of those is going to go in the box, and you don't know what it is. And I love that mechanic. I've seen it in other games, and I love it here also, so that you don't know what you're missing, because there are 2 2s, 3 3s, 4 4s, 5 5s, and so forth in this deck. Let's say you're trying to win area majority with 4s. You don't know if there's 1 in the box. If you can see what you have in your hand and you see what your opponent has already played, maybe there's already 3 4s out there, and you're like, oh my gosh, do they have another 4? Is there another 4 in this deck that's going to come out, or is it in the box? So you're asking yourself those questions the whole time you're playing. This is just a brilliant board game design. It's perfect. You know, when I talk about board gaming design perfection, Hanama Koji hits the mark, and it must be in everybody's library. I just can't imagine playing and being a part of this hobby and not having this little inexpensive game that hurts your head a little bit. You have 4 action tiles that are in front of you, so you're only going to take 4 actions per round. You turn that tile over when you take that action. Oh, just so much to enjoy about Hanamakaji. All right, this is a really simple game that you can play in less than half an hour. It's a 2 to 6 player count game called Point Salad. The designers are Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, and Sean Stankiewicz, and they've made some other card games that are very good also, and Truffle Shuffle, and I don't know if they had anything to do with the another series I'm talking about, but we'll find out. Anyways, in Point Salad, you have a deck of cards that you're going to use in this game. That's all the components that there are, these decks of cards, and the cards are double-sided. They have a contract on one side that must be fulfilled to score points, and the other side is a vegetable. And you're going to draft those vegetables to try to fulfill the contracts that you're taking. And the decisions are pretty nice because you're going to have columns of these cards, and you're looking at them on the contracts side. The decks have a contract on top, and you're like, geez, do I want to take that contract? Or do I want to take those 2 tomatoes that are showing in the grid? You know, the contract is, I get 7 points for the most cabbage. How much cabbage do I have? Or do I want that contract now? Or do I want to wait until I get some cabbage? Or maybe I already have 3 cabbages that I've drafted for another contract, so I want that contract also. But if I pass that up, I pass up these tomatoes for this other contract I'm trying to build. Some really fun decision making goes into Point Salad. It was a huge hit, and I can see why, and we love it. We've played the heck out of this thing. Again, this is a game you get out and go, 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 go. You'll play it for 1 or 2 hours, and just keep playing it. It's so much fun. That's Point Salad. What a great game. All right. This is a game we just picked up not that long ago called Spirits of the Forest. It's a grid of tiles out in front of the players, and you're going to draft those from the outside in. And again, set collection with iconography that happens to be on the tiles is going to score you the most points by the end of the game. And it's a light affair, but this is the deluxe version, and these tiles are kind of an acrylic in nature, and we love that about it. It's a little more tactile, and this is autographed by the designers. We bought this used off somebody at a convention. You know, that's where you get your best deals when you go to a board game convention. I try to tell all you guys out there, make a list of games that you want. You know, research them thoroughly, watch them played on YouTube, listen to reviewers that you trust. That's what you want to do, and the way you want to research those things. And then when you go find games that you want, and you've decided, you made a list, go to a board game convention and get involved in their flea market and or virtual flea market that they have there at the convention. You can get games for a fraction of the price. So that's one way to build up your library in an inexpensive fashion. I'm the only one on YouTube that'll tell you that. All right, the next game I'm going to talk about is a little game from Dr. Steve Finn called the Whatnot Cabinet. This is a multiplayer game, and I think it plays 1 to 4, so you can play it solo, and this plays in 20 minutes. It's a cute little game. You've got a Whatnot cabinet, which is a board that you're going to have in front of you, and you're going to draft tiles depending on your position on the planning board. The planning board has 4 different spaces on it, and wherever your marker is, it has a different function on how you can draft. And so you're going to draft according to the planning board, and then place those in your Whatnot cabinet. And of course, there's ways you have to do that to twist your mind a little bit, and it twists your mind a little bit on what tiles you want to draft. And it's just a fun, light affair. Just enough in there. And of course, there are some common goal cards that are going to be involved in the game also that you're trying to fulfill to get a few extra points. Just a fun game to play by Steve Finn, best sold Eduardo Baroff. Nobody talks about Whatnot Cabinet. It's a solid design. Lori and I were interested in it, played it one time and said, yeah, that's a nice little puzzle game. I think we can get years and years of enjoyment out of that, and that's why we have it in our library, and that's the Whatnot Cabinet. All right, this is another tile laying game called Shake That City. You know, there's really nothing really different about the tile laying part of this game. There's going to be adjacency issues and route building, different things that you're going to do when you're laying those tiles. But this game has that little shaker, and I'm telling you what, we keep this game just because of that. Maybe people think we're crazy, but I don't really care because I love doing that. I love shaking this thing up. You shake this up, and you push this lever, and it's going to put 9 cubes on the table. Of course, they're all different colors, but there are tiles that go with these colors. So you're going to choose a color as you're going to choose a color. Say red. Well, you've got 3 red cubes here. You have to place those 3 red tiles in the configuration that you see on the table right here. And then the other player cannot choose that color. So if you go first, you're going to get a better choice than the person that's not going first. And if this person, let's say, chooses this green cube, you only get 1 tile. So let's say you choose the blue cubes. Well, right here they are. So you can choose the blue, and you have to put them in that configuration on your player board. But just using these cubes and that strict nature of following the pattern of those cubes is what keeps this game fresh for us. And there are some scoring opportunities with tiles that you'll lay on the outside of your tableau building board that give you points also. But Shake That City is a solid game. It's a ton of fun, and that's what keeps us coming back to it. You know, I don't keep games that aren't fun, that's for sure. But Shake That City is outstanding. I hope you guys, if you haven't played it, you get a chance to. It's from AEG. The designers are Mads Flow and Care Torndal Gyre? No, I don't know. Kyer? Yeah, I don't know. I've never heard of these designers, but they did a nice job with this game. And again, the thing that keeps us coming back to it is that little shaker. And that's a brilliant mechanism, and it's something that I'm glad that I tried, because once I started playing this game and using that shaker, it was addicting. And I told Laura, yeah, we're keeping that game. Shake That City. All right. This is kind of a newer game, and I've talked about it in other videos. Captain Flip, just a fun game. It's a multiplayer game, 2 to 5 players. Play it in 20 minutes, it says on the box, and that's accurate. 20 minutes to half an hour, depending on how many players you have. But you're simply going to draft tiles out of a bag, and you look at the tile when you take it out of the bag, and if you don't like what's on that side, you can flip it. You can't flip it back, but if you don't like what's on the front side when you draw it out of the bag, you can flip it and use that side. So you have to have players that are willing to not look at both sides of the tile. And then, of course, there's ways you're going to place those tiles on your player mat in order to score points. It's a very fast, fun affair. The first time I played it, I said, yeah, we're going to get that little light game. It's very light, but so much fun to play. And that's Captain Flip. Yeah, and this Captain Flip is designed by L.L.A.M.A and Remo Condizori. But L.L.A.M.A, of course, one of the best board game designers around. Would we have Ethnos by him and Vasco da Gama? Oh. Vasco da Gama is another game by L.L.A.M.A that we have. And we've had other games. What was that one where you...
Fairy Tale Inn.
Fairy Tale Inn, yeah.
Fairy Tile Inn?
Fairy Tile.
What it was called.
No, it wasn't Fairy Tile. It was Fairy Tale. Yeah. All right, the next game I'm going to talk about is by Rudiger Dorn. It's called Karuba. Karuba is for 2 to 4 players, and this takes us about a half an hour to play. Yeah, it says 40 minutes on the box, 2 player, you can play it in a half an hour. And this is just another game that I just can't believe everyone doesn't own. It's fantastic. There's just a place for games like this in your library. In this game, you're going to have explorers and temples in your play area. You'll have a board where you're going to lay tiles, building a route from those explorers to the temples. You have to get those explorers off the board and standing next to those temples in order to score those particular temples. So you're building a route with tiles that are all numbered sequentially, and someone is going to be the exploration leader, or whatever they call it, and that player is going to draw a tile, call out the number. All players will have to place that tile, and the tile is going to have routes on it or paths, and depending on the tile, it may have maybe a path like that. So there's going to be 4 entries on that tile. That is worth 4 points of movement if you discard it, because all those tiles are also the movement currency in the game, and that's the brilliant part of this game. That is brilliant by Rudiger Dorn. I mean, that mechanism is amazing. So you're trying to build those paths from your explorers to your temples as efficiently as you possibly can. You don't want to use all those tiles that the exploration leader's calling out. If you have one like that, and there's more than one that has that, because it's worth 4 movement, and you want that. But there's more than one, so you want to use one maybe to keep your routes open in the middle of your board, but you don't want to use all those because those movement points are very important. Now, we played this game at the last convention we went to, Escape Winter, with a couple of friends of ours, Carrie and Stasha, and Carrie has completed this game with all 4 explorers at the temple. I was just amazed at that when he told me that. I've never done that. Many times I played this game, I've never done that, but man, what a challenge that is. That's brilliant to be able to do that. This game is fantastic. It's by Haba Games, and they have, of course, a reputation for light games. This game is light, but it's thinky enough that you all the time are engaged in your turn. And some of those tiles have diamonds and gold, I think, on them, and you want to pick those up because they're points also. So you're asking yourself, do I want to discard that for the path entrances on it, for the movement of it, because it's got a diamond on it, and I want to pick up that diamond. It's just some nice little decision making in this game, and that is Karuba by Rudiger Dorn. Terrific game. Terrific, you guys. All right. The next game I'm going to talk about is Azul. That's it. No, I'm kidding. I'm going to talk about it. Azul, this is a base game. This is a reskinning. It's Chocolatier, but this is just base Azul. And it's by Michael Kiesling, one of the best board game designers ever. I mean, the guy is an incredible mind, and his games are fun, and Azul is no different. It took the board gaming world by storm. I think it won the Spiel des Jahres, I'm not sure. But it deserved it if it did, and this is a 2 to 4 player game. You can play it in half an hour, 2 player. The decisions are nice and crunchy. Again, there's some randomness in it depending on the tiles that are out and when you're able to take them. And you can hate draft if you want to, taking tiles that you know another player needs if that's the way you play games. We don't bother with that, but you can do that. And it's just such a fun puzzle to put together. I can't say something about it that hasn't already been said. This game is it's in top 100 on BGG. It could be in anybody's top 10 games of all time. It's that good, and that's Azul by Michael Kiesling. Okay, this is a game I love and Lori loves called Reef, and this is by Emerson Matsuuchi, who you know from Foundations of Rome. Actually, this game is a little crunchier than Foundations of Rome. Oh yeah, Azul beat out Reef for Game of the Year in whatever year it won the Spiel des Jahres, but I don't know, man. Reef is good. It's a pattern building game. The coral reef, you have all these coral pieces that you're going to get by the cards that you play. The cards are multi-use, so you have to decide, do you want to score that card by the pattern, use it for scoring, or do you want to play it and get the coral reef that's on it? Those decisions are always in your head, and it's a game where you're going to have to plan ahead. When you look at the market of cards, I think there's 3 showing, 1 on top of the deck. So you're like, because you're trying to chain those cards together to score them and get coral reef pieces also. And it is such a fun little thinker. And it's a game that we got the first year it came out and just play it and play it and play it. And that's Reef. 2 to 4 players. So it's a multiplayer game and it's outstanding. All right, a couple of games I want to talk about together because they remind me of each other. That's Project L and Splendor. If you like this one, you'll like this one. If you like this one, you'll like this one. That's just the way it is. We like them both. This is the original Splendor game. I know there's a Splendor Duel out now, and I think there's an expansion for this. I don't even mess with all that stuff. I just love this game right here, just the way it came in the box. This is kind of a newer copy. I'm going to tell you how shallow I can be sometimes. The chips, the poker chips that are in this game, are a little heavier than my original. I forget. How did we figure that out?
We bought one for your sister.
Oh, yeah. I love Splendor so much. We had an original copy, and I bought a new copy for my sister, and we played her copy at my house here, and I'm like, there's no way my chips are that heavy. So we went and got my game out. They're not. These things are really, really heavy. I told her, did we sell it?
No, we didn't. We let them keep the new one. We bought another new one,
right.
And we sold the old one.
Okay, we bought the new one and sold the old one. But this is just an engine building game. You're buying cards with your starting gems, those poker chips that you have. Yeah, so you're buying cards from a market, and the first person to get 15 points building that engine wins the game. I mean, I've had Splendor since it came out. I just love it. Every time I get it out, I'm like, I don't know. It's just a wonderful game to play. It's so satisfying and rewarding to play Splendor. I just love it. And this game by Marc Andre. This game is Project L, and it's the same situation. You have a market of these tiles, and the tiles are, you're going to have some acrylic shapes, and you have to fill in the shape on that tile in order to get the reward of that tile. It may be points, or it may be more shapes. So you want more shapes. The more shapes you got, the harder tiles that you can complete and get the higher point values. So it's an engine building game. I just love it. It has a player mat that has a player aid on it that tells you what actions you can take when you're playing this game, and that's really helpful. I think there's even an expansion for this game. We just keep this base box and play it as often as we possibly can, because once we get it out, we just play it 2 or 3 times in a row. And these are games that, again, that we can get out and teach people very quickly that come to our house, and Project L is one of those we like to play. Okay, I'm going to show you 3 games that I kept from AEG over the last few years, and that is Nocturne, Calico, and Verdant. And there's also, you know what, Cascadia. We had that one also. You know, I know everyone loves Cascadia. I love these 3 better. That's just Lori and I. You know, we love these better. Calico is I think I gave it Game of the Year for 23, I think it came out. It's a multiplayer game, 1 to 4 players. We play this 2-player in half an hour. But no, 2020 it says. It must have been 2020 I gave it Game of the Year. I love this game. Everything about it is gorgeous. I know, of course, you've seen my cats. We have cats, and I love the Best Sobel's art. This kitty cat on the front, just beautiful, and everything about it. The rule book is lovely. The story behind this game is lovely. Putting your quilt together is lovely. Drafting those tiles is such a nice, thinky puzzle. And there is some randomness to this game that bothers some people. You are going to pull tiles out of a bag, and that's going to be the market that you're going to choose from. And there's a pattern building mechanism going on in the game. So if you're not getting the tiles you need for your pattern, that makes some people mad. But that's what the game's about. You have to decide, do I want to wait on that tile to complete this pattern, or do I want to take the lesser points by placing that tile over here? And that's the meat of this game. And you're trying to complete certain things to get little kitty cat bonus tokens to put on your quilt. It's just a lovely game. I'm in love with Calico. The first time I played it, I said, I'm in love with this game. And we just play it and play it and play it. We've had it ever since it came out. The next game from AEG that I want to talk about is Verdant. And Verdant is a tableau building game where you're just simply going to build a grid of cards. There's certain ways you have to do that. It's got potted plants. And depending on how you're doing that, you can win pots that give you more bonus points and so forth. But we just love playing this game. Of course, it depends on how you put those cards in your tableau is how you're going to score points. But we love this game. This is, again, illustrated by Beth Sobel. And the designers are Molly Johnson, Robert Melvin, Aaron Messburn, Kevin Russ, who did Calico, and Sean Stankiewicz. And those are some of the designers that did Point Salad, you guys. And I'm telling you, a lot of times the designers are very important. When you find a game by a designer and you're like, wow, that game is twisted, I love that game, then look into that designer's other titles and just look at them on YouTube, see if you can watch them played and if you might like them. But yeah, this group of designers are outstanding, and that's Verdant. I love that game. Did I say it plays 1 to 5? Yeah, we play that in about a half an hour. Now, Nocturne is a bidding game and set collection. Very few bidding games work at 2-player. This is one that does, Nocturne. And in this game, when you're bidding, you have a bunch of bidding tokens. They go from 1 to 10 or 2 to 10? I forget. And then you have one that has a special icon on it that can't be overbid. So you are laying those bidding tokens on a grid of tiles. You're going to look at that grid of tiles and you play it in rounds. And maybe you see a tile you want. Of course, the other players don't know what your goal is there. And you're going to start laying a path with your bidding tiles out on that grid. You're like, oh my gosh, I want that tile. So, you know, I can get it in 2 different ways. I can plan with my bidding tokens to reach it and then be the last bidding token on top of that tile to take it. Or I can play that one token that gives me that tile without anybody trying to overbid me. So there's a couple of different ways to get those tiles, but you're essentially laying those bidding tokens out and you're spending them as you put them out on the board. And if you win the bid, you lose the token. And the other player gets their tokens back. And then you have another board where you can place tokens if you lose the bid and get other tiles. And you're out to get those tiles on both those boards for different types of set collection mechanisms going on in your tableau, and that's how you score and win the game. But the bidding mechanism is what sold me on this game, and it's why I keep it, because again, bidding games that play well at 2 are not very common, and this one does a good job, and that's Nocturne by Flat Out Games and AEG.
Okay.
What do I got behind me here? Okay, I'm going to do this game and this game. These games, this is Uwe Rosenberg, this is Uwe Rosenberg, and Corne van Moorsel. Now, Corne van Moorsel did Habitats, which is a tile laying game that we really loved. And, of course, this is a classic now. I think this can be called a classic. This game in particular, this particular edition, I don't know when it came out, but Patchwork came out quite a few years ago, and it was just a quilt. This is a Christmas version. I didn't really care for that quilt version thing. I played it when it first came out at convention. I told Lori, I really like this game. I just don't, that quilt thing. Yeah, I don't know how to think about it. And then when I found out they were making some other editions, I waited and got the Christmas one. But there's a Valentine's patchwork, and our daughter has the Halloween patchwork. And I think there's an Americana. So there's a different, whatever floats your boat as far as theme, that's the one you want to go get. But this is just an outstanding game. He uses that mechanism in both these games where the person in the back is going to go first. So you may get more than one turn. And if you're going to go after a tile that costs more to acquire, then your opponent's going to get more than one turn. That's just something, the decision you're going to have to make during the game. And in this game here, it's a polyomino type of situation. You're laying those on a board, trying to cover up as many of those squares on your player board as you possibly can, because at the end of the game, there's minus points for ones you don't cover up. And I've actually finished this puzzle before, one time. And we've played it over and over again, and I mean, you can have a really bad game in this game, or you can have a really great game, which I did. I covered all my squares up, so that was fantastic. It's 2-player only. Uwe Rosenberg, you know, if you talked about Uwe's best board game ever, if you were going to make a decision as to what was his best board game design ever, this would be in the conversation. It has to be. I don't know how many hundreds of thousands of games of Patchwork have been sold, but it's a lot. This is the Christmas edition, and I love this game. Now in Nova Luna, again, it uses some of the same mechanisms, because you're going to have, this is the moon wheel, this is the moon, I guess. So you're going to move that moon, and you can only choose tiles around here that are 3 in front of you or less. And that's the same in Patchwork. He used that same mechanism. So if you want to go farther and you want a tile that's very important to you and it has a high value on it, maybe it has a 5 or a 6, so you're going to have to move your marker on the moon ring 6 spaces, and that may give your opponent more than one move. And that, you know, that's a decision you got to make. Again, this is a racing game. It's different than Patchwork. This is a racing game. First person to place all 20 of their tokens out in their tableau wins the game. There's no bonus points to figure out, no need to get out a pencil, nothing like that. Whoever places that last marker out in their tableau wins the game. The way you do that is you're going to draft these tiles. Each one of them tiles is a certain color. Inside that tile are rings, and they have different color patterns in them. You have to complete the pattern in order to put one of your markers on top of that ring on that tile. Now, the thing that twists people's minds and is the hardest thing to understand in this game is you can't use the tile that ring pattern is on. So that can't figure into the equation. And in addition, when you're trying to finish that pattern, let's say it has 3 different colors, blue, yellow, and turquoise. They don't have to all be adjacent to that tile that has that ring pattern on it. You can have the blue touching the red, touching the turquoise, away from that tile. It doesn't have to be completely adjacent to that tile. Oh, I mean, this game is so much fun. The first time we played it, I told Laura, that is so much fun. What a great game. And we've hung on to it since it came out 2019. Played the heck out of it. We'll continue to play the heck out of it. I love it. It's called Nova Luna. Okay. Okay, I'll talk about a couple of games I did in the last video. These are 30 minutes or less, and they are spectacular. I'm telling you, both of them. And this is River Valley Glassworks. this game, we can play this in 15, 20 minutes a pop. And I like that because in that 15 or 20 minutes, you're thinking so hard, man. It's like, what do I want to do with these glass pieces that I drafted out of the river? I mean, do I want to complete rows? Because you get points for the rows and how you complete them. You get 22 points per row that you complete. 22 points, that's a lot. So you're trying to complete rows, and they have to be different colors of glass to complete the row. But in columns, they have to be the same color of glass. And so those pieces that you're drafting from the river, you're thinking very hard on where you want to put those because the rows score differently than the columns. And that's the puzzle. And it's so much fun to unravel that. And again, it's just by all play, 1 to 5 players. It says 25 minutes on the box. You can play this in 15 to 20 2-player. And that's, we do 90% of our gaming at 2-player. And I immediately, after playing this game, we played it 2, 3, 4 times in a row when we first got it. And I told Lori, wow, that's a keeper. It's just a magnificent game design. Absolutely outstanding. 1 to 5 players, 8 and up. River Valley Glassworks, guys. Spectacular is a little bit more crunchy than that. But it can be played in half an hour, and that's pretty neat. There's a lot going on in this game. I've heard some people on BGG, their comments about this game. There's so much going on, I couldn't put it all together. Well, there is a lot of different things to consider when you're playing this game, and that makes the puzzle fun. And it's a dice drafting, tile drafting game. And on your turn, you're simply going to take 2 items. You're going to take a dice or a tile off the common board that's in front of you, or a dice and a tile from your personal supply. Or excuse me, and. So you're going to take 1 item from your personal supply, 1 item from your common supply, put them in the squares on your tableau, and then everybody builds together. So you say, okay, you selected? Yeah, I selected. Okay, everybody build. So you're going to place those 2 items that you selected in your tableau. Okay, pass the common boards. So you'll pass the common boards that you have in front of you to other players. And so now you've got a completely different common board in front of you that you're going to choose from. So you're aware and you're constantly looking at those other common boards and what's available on them. You know, I need that yellow 6. Is that going to get around to me? Oh. But I also need this habitat, this blue habitat, to put over here on my board so I can score the blue towers, because you have to have a habitat with a die on it, a 1 or a 2, in order to score all those blue tiles that are adjacent to it. Should I take that? If I take that now, you know, am I going to get a blue 1 or 2 and to be able to get and activate that? A lot of nice decisions. Can I complete the pattern in order to get a watchtower out there so that I can put 6s on my board? Because the only place you can put a 6 on your tableau is your starting animal. After that, no 6s unless you build a watchtower. Then there's a variant with endgame missions, 3 of them that are going to be passed out to each player. And I would advise using those. They say it's a variant, just play with them. And you want to try to complete those. I've completed them on accident before. There's so much to think about in your tableau in drafting and placing dice and tiles that I've actually completed some of those mission cards accidentally. You know, or by the end of the game, I'm thinking, oh, let's see. The 10-point one, they come in A, B, C. So the A's are easy, the B's are medium, and the C's are more difficult. Well, the A, I always try and go for it, you know, because it's generally a little easier than the other 2. So I'm trying to complete that A tile, but I have completed the C tile accidentally at the end of the game. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. As long as I have one of my colors of dice that add up to exactly a value of 17, I'm going to get 19 points. Oh, so I'm adding up quickly in my head. Oh, I've got one. Because you got some tiles that you can use in order to manipulate the values of those dice. You get like 6 of them, I think, 1 for each color, and then a wild. And then I thought, well, I can flip that tile from a 3 to a 4, and that'll give me exactly 17 in yellow dice. I've completed that and got 19 points. Whew. I mean, that's the kind of cool stuff you're going to do in Spectacular. Oh my gosh, this game's fantastic. And again, there's going to be people who say, oh, it's so random. Yeah, that's life in the city, in the hobby of board gaming. Spectacular. If you don't want randomness in your board games, chess is always an option. All right, I'm going to talk about 2 two-player only games that I would be remiss in not mentioning, because when we're talking about games that play in half an hour or less, I have to talk about these two. By Trevor Benjamin and Brett J. Gilbert, outstanding designers. Mandala and Patterns, they both use the same scoring mechanism called the river, where you are choosing what to place in what space as far as scoring value, so that when you're playing the game, you're thinking continually about how to do that. Such nice puzzle games, 2-player only, both of them, 20 minutes, it says on the box for both of them, and I guarantee you'll get them out and just keep playing them. They're that types of games. And they're so rewarding and so satisfying to play. I just can't say enough about either one of them. I won't go into detail. This is cards. This is tokens that you're building. Let's see, there. This is you have a cloth board in here. I love that, linen cloth. You just lay that out, and that's your board. And you have 2 mandalas you're playing cards into, and you're trying to get area majority and so forth. And once you do that, you get to choose what cards you want out of there, and you're going to place those in your river and see how they score. In Patterns, you can see you have tokens, and you're going to color adjacency, build a pattern on this board, and score according to how you place those areas that you went in the river. And so it's just a fun puzzle. They're quick to play, lots of thinking going on during them. If you love board games, I don't know how you pass these by. Yeah. That's Patterns and Mandala. All right. 2 more games by Uwe Rosenberg I'm going to talk about. They're 2-player only also. But again, they're nice. They have a big Euro feel to them. They have a big game feel, but they're small boxes. And they have expansion material in them. They're called the big box editions. Now, both these games came out in smaller versions. I think like this Agricola was in a box like this Patterns box when it first came out. All Creatures Big and Small. And then they had a couple of expansions, more buildings, and even more buildings that came out, something like that. And so they're all the expansion materials in here. All the expansion material for Era 1 and Era 2 are in here. And so if you want to play these games just in their base form, in other words, Era 1, if you play Caverna Cave versus Cave, just Era 1 in here, it'll only take you half an hour. It will take you 45 minutes to play it with Era 2. So if you add the expansion material that's in here, it'll take you a little longer than a half an hour. And the same with All Creatures Big and Small. But All Creatures Big and Small is so much fun. We played these games a few times, and then we decided, you know what, let's get rid of Caverna and Agricola. And we did. And we sold those games off to somebody that wanted to play them more than we did. Once we played these, we realized, hey, this is more our speed. This is more our style. They're quicker, they're crunchy, and it's just a satisfying experience to play both of them, because you have everything going on in here you have going on in Agricola with no cards. And that was probably the thing that Lori liked the least in Agricola, was the card mechanic in that game. So it got rid of that, and you have the cute little animal husbandry going on, and you're fencing in animals in your board, and you get points for all the animals that are on your tableau, but you get bonus points if you can hit certain marks on them. And it's even listed on the side of the box, the bonus points you get for depending on what type of animal that you happen to have on your board. Just a fun game to play. We enjoy both of these games so much, and it's just, for us, a better option for board gaming than their big brothers. So yeah, that's Caverna Cave versus Cave Big Box, Agricola All Creatures Big and Small Big Box, and these are both by Uwe Rosenberg. Love them both. Okay, this game is an abstract strategy game called Camisado. I saw Luke Hector over at Broken Meeple channel talking about this game one time. I don't even know what list it was on that he was talking. Maybe it was abstract strategy games. But once I saw him talk about this game, I told Laura, hey, get that game for us. I want to play it. And this is a 2-player only game because you're head-to-head, and it's much like playing chess, except you don't have different kinds of pieces. They're all the same kind of pieces. They're castles. And you have a board of all different color squares. I just want to show you real quick if you haven't seen this game, because I was sold immediately. That's what they look like. They're pretty big and chunky. They have felt on the bottom of them, and you're going to move these around this board. Now, on your turn, you can only move forward. In other words, you can move this forward either diagonally or straight ahead. Now, wherever you end your turn, like let's say I'm moving this, and I'm going to end my turn right here on this yellow space, my opponent has to move their yellow piece. So it'd be the white player. He's got to use his yellow piece, and that's the one he's got to move. So you're keenly aware of where these pieces start ending up on the board, because you're like, see, if I move to this blue square, he has to move his blue piece. His blue piece is up there. What can he do with that if he moves forward? And you got to make sure that what happens to make you lose the game is they don't get one of their pieces into your home row. Because if they get a piece in your home row, you've lost the game. I've seen this game last 60 seconds. I've seen this game last the full half hour. So if you're not paying attention, someone will backdoor you for sure, right? I mean, you'll get...
The grandkids even like to play that one.
Yeah, we take this game to family gatherings. We'll set it up, tell people how to play it, and someone's sitting there playing it the entire gathering. You know, different players, people get up and, oh man, I'm going to try that. And it's so easy to teach and so fun to play. And that's Kamisado. It's an abstract strategy game. I think there's a version called Kamisado Max that does something different, Kamisado Max, but 2-player only. Again, it says 20 minutes on the box. It might be 60 seconds. It might be half an hour. But yeah, I've been beat in that game very quickly, more than once. All right, next game I'm going to talk about that takes a half an hour to play is Draftosaurus. This has a tremendous group of designers: Antoine Bauza, Corentin Labrat, Ludovic Maublanc, and Theo Rivera. I've heard of all these people. This is a drafting game where you have actual dinosaur meeples that you have in your hand, and the first player is going to roll a wooden die. Whatever comes up on that die, you're going to have to place a dinosaur out of the dinosaurs that you have in that area on your player board. And there's different ways to place them that give you different points, different ways to score. So that's the thought process in here. Once you pick one of those dinosaurs, of course, you're going to give them to your next player on your left and just keep those dinosaurs going. Keep drafting, rolling, and placing those on your board to score as many points as you possibly can. Easy game to play. It's for 2 to 5 players. It says 15 minutes on the box. I guess 2 players, you might get this done in 15 minutes. We also have an expansion in here. Two expansions. You know, Lori just loves this game, so we play it as often as we possibly can, and we hang on to it. And I like it a lot, and that's called Draftosaurus. Such a fun little game. Okay, the last game I'm going to talk about is a bigger box game, and it's called Colossal Cat in the Box. Now, Cat in the Box came out in a smaller package form, and I was aware of that game and had watched it played, and I was intrigued by it. And then I played it at a convention. A friend of ours had the game. We went to the convention, played it with him, and before I even played that game with him, actually played Cat in the Box, we had ordered this Cat in the Box Colossal. Now, it's Cat in the Box just made huge, much like King Domino XL that I showed you at the top of the video. But this game is just bigger pieces. Everything in it is big. The designer made this version of this game for his mom who had eyesight problems. Lori and I, as we get older, I'll be 70 this year, I appreciate that. Every time I get a board game where I have trouble reading card text or things like that, I get pretty upset about it. And I get rid of it. I just think vision is something that shouldn't be neglected by board game publishers. This is fantastic, you guys. Everything in it is huge. And this, if you haven't played Cat in the Box, it's a wonderful game. It's a little bit twisted. And it takes you a minute to wrap your head around what's happening, because all players have the same color of cards in their hand. They're all black. You're going to name the color when you play your card. And that's the rub. And in it, you're simply going to name colors and place your particular pieces on this board, giving you, there's adjacency scoring and things like that that go on in this game. But it's so much fun to play, and it kind of hurts your head a little bit, because when you name a color, that's trump for that particular round. You may not have that color. You may have used that color, and you're like, oh gosh, I don't have that color. I guess some people will find this very easy to get used to, and other people will struggle with it in their mind because it's a little bit different. And I think Lori just immediately picked it up. My grandson picked it up like that, and it took me a couple of tries to like, okay, yeah, now I see what's going on. But yeah, it's just a beautiful game. Plays, again, 2-player in less than 30 minutes, and we just love it ever since we've got it. And that's Cat in the Box. This is a Colossal Edition. It's fantastic. All the games I showed you here today, that's it, you guys. Okay, so Lori was going through and editing the video, and she said, hey, where's Savannah Park? And I said, I don't know. I forgot it. And so we can't forget Savannah Park. It's one of our favorite 30-minute games to play. It says it plays in 20 to 40. At 2-player, you're going to play in 20 minutes. And it's a nice puzzle. Plays solo also, so 1 to 4 players, 8 and up, and that's probably pretty accurate. This is a game with very little rules, with a lot of head scratching, so you're going to be thinking the whole time you're playing this game. It's a nice puzzle, tile laying game with animals that you're putting together in herds, and there's some specific rules where you're going to place those that make it interesting. And I simply could never get rid of Savannah Park. And Caldera Park is another form of this that's also outstanding. So this game is by Kramer and Kiesling. They have a way of making beautiful board games. They're an outstanding duo of designers, and we've enjoyed this game since it came out in 2021 or whatever. And we just started this game that I would never get rid of, just because you can pull it out, set it up, play it, put it back in the box in 30 minutes. I mean, that is so much fun. And you usually will play it multiple times once you do get it out, because the puzzle is just interesting and fun to play. I could not do this video without mentioning Savannah Park. You know, I believe in every game I showed you. We purchased every one of these games with our own money. Because of that, you know, I'm very careful, first of all, to really analyze a game before I purchase it. That way, when I get it home, I'm pretty confident that it's going to be a keeper in our library. All 30 of those games I showed you today, I'm keeping in my library for a number of reasons, but one of them is that 30-minute playtime. I would be inaccurate to tell you that that's not a factor. That is a factor. I love that about those games. There's so many times when we're like, yeah, let's just play something, you know, short. So we'll play Azul, or we'll play Karuba, Calico, Colossal Cat in the Box, get that out. And we just enjoy those games because you can play 2 or 3 of them in a short span of time that you would play in a you know, Kanban EV. We could play Kanban EV or play 3 30-minute games. Sometimes I like the variety of playing 3 30-minute games. And so that's why these games are so invaluable. And I love the fact that most of these games are intellectually stimulating also. You're going to think pretty hard in some of these. Even Point Salad. Even Point Salad has some pretty nice decisions to make. And I love that about these games. Gosh, I hope you like these games. Leave some comments about these games if you like any of them, or if you are interested in any of them. I'll try to answer your questions. Give us a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. That is my video for today. It's called 30 at 30. I love every one of those daggone games, and just having them in front of me makes me want to take the lid off and play them. And that's what this hobby is all about. I love every one of you. Have a great day wherever you're at, and I hope you're playing a board game, and we'll see you the next time here on The Bones Collector. Bye-bye.